Hi, this is Joanne. Welcome to my sewing room. Today we're going to be doing a DIY upcycled dress. Tons of patchwork. Please watch it till the end. Let's go. I want to prepare the dress first so that way I can see. I measured 10 inches up because that's where I want it to fall. I'm just gonna no fuss cut right across. There we go, from one place to the other. Put this aside. Maybe I'll use it somewhere, I don't know. Now I have the dress approximately where I want it to be for length. So this part is too tight on me. I don't know if this is going to work or not. It is just experiment. I've been looking at it for a while, thinking about it, and now I just have to take the scissors and cut. My problem is that sometimes I think of something afterwards that would have been better. But if I don't do it, if I don't get going on it, then I get nowhere. All right, so I'm gonna make it 6 inches bigger. I need at least 2.5 inches on that side, plus the seam allowance, so that's 3. And let's mark it on this side. There's my 3. Came down here and see how big this is. That's 3.5. Because that's going to bring it in. What if I did that? And I'm going to insert this fabric. Kitty cat is watching my husband. Is he outside working on the chicken coop? Huh? She's going to snarl at me and hiss in a minute. Where's Daddy? Where's Daddy, Princess? Where's Daddy out? Is Daddy out there? Yeah, Daddy's putting up the electric fence for the ladies that you will never meet because you like chirping at the birds. Where's Daddy? What? Where's Daddy? Where's Daddy? Well, you tell Daddy later and he'll take you out. I can't take you out. Sometimes when it's intense, I have to look away, appreciate the animals, and then go back to it. And I'm going to go over to my serger, just do a little bit of light pinning, because we all know how I love pins. And then I'm going to serge this in, because I have a serger and I love my serger. There. So if I come down here and I sew down here, then this is gonna mimic this. I had to do this because of my size. You may not have to do this, and you may not have a dress that has pin tucks all the way down it, so you will probably skip this whole step. Okay, so I solved the problem of it being too tight. Now it doesn't feel like it's too tight. I have this little hole right here, but that's going to be patched. So now I feel like I'm off to a good start. So I'm going to use my seam ripper and I'm going to seam rip the side all the way up to the underarm. So then I'll have the front of the dress and the back of the dress to lie flat, so I can decide what my next step is. I took another break to show you this is the run that my husband is still making. He's putting a roof on it. This is where my baby chicks now live that are not babies anymore. And this is my granddaughter trying to get those baby chicks to come out of their house. They didn't want to come out the first day, but they did eventually. They're having a ball out there. So 34.5 times 2. So I start to calculate, and I decide I need at least 74 inches long of a row. So I did approximately 10 inches high, 10 to 10 and a half inches high. And then I brought it over to the sewing machine and I began to sew some doilies here and there where I thought would be pretty. I thought maybe I would get a jump on placing the doilies so that at the end I didn't have to think that I was finishing the product with doilies, that I was already finished with doilies. Okay, so yeah, I've got the rest of this. I'm going to put that aside. I'll probably use it a little bit later. But I have this one piece of fabric that's not really fabric. It's like a woven piece that you'll be seeing in just a second. Here's my pretty colors here. Picking out all of my favorites. Doesn't matter what the weight is, just picking out all the favorites. So I have this piece right here that was some type of an antique, and it had some stains on it. And I really wanted to use it though, because it seems like it's hand woven and then maybe even hand stitched. And the way that I did this was I cut a piece of it off and then I just sewed it on the same way that you would if you had a doily. And I really love it. And it's against this piece of fabric right next to it, that purpley fabric. That's a leftover from my friend's mom, who made her a jacket out of that, oh, like 35 years ago when she was pregnant. This is my big long row, and I love it. So I have this lace curtain that I think I had it in my other house. It was probably from Country Curtains. I used to have lace curtains in my dining room. And I've used some of it already for junk journals. So I'm going to measure it to make sure that I have enough, because I don't want to cut this lace up. This is one of my favorites. It's got roses on it. And I want to make sure that I cut it the right direction. There's like a straight of the grain, which it's not really grain, it's net, but there's one side that's stretchier than the other. So when I fold this and cut it, I want to make sure that I'm cutting the length at the stretchiest part, and the height will be not a concern, but the length, it needs to be at the stretchiest part so that it will be flowing, because this is going to be the final piece at the bottom of the dress. It's the last tier, so there'll be 3 tiers. So I'm going to get this cut out and then attach it a little later on. Over to the serger to serge the top of the lace. This way it'll keep stability. Now to my other machine, just to join these strips together, the laces. I use a 2.75-inch stitch. Make sure that the lace is right sides together because there is a right and a wrong side to this. And that's it. And then I'll just give them a little press when I'm done. And they'll be ready for the bottom of the dress. I'm going to measure the tier that's closest to the waist, and it's about 10 inches, and I want it to be 10 inches the entire way, so I'll measure and then mark and cut so that this can be uniform and fit nicely with the other tiers. And the full length of this is approximately 80 inches, 75 to 80 inches. I measured the dress and then I just doubled it. And all the fabrics are all different weights. Some are thin, some are heavier. This one that I'm working on right here is bark cloth. It's the heaviest of all, but I was picking out my colors and my favorite fabrics and not thinking about weights. I'm not making a quilt. I'm making a dress that I want to be the prettiest out of all the fabrics, and I want to take things out of my cabinet and use it. So this was my motivation to start the dress, and I added the doilies, little pieces of doilies, just to complement the colors that I used. Now I'm going to take this strip over to my ironing board and press this. This is another little spot that I love to go to. I love seeing the wrinkles just come right out. And I use steam. I love the steam. I just something about it. I wish my iron was even hotter than it is. It's 1800 watts, but still, sometimes I feel like it's a little lacking with getting the wrinkles out. But I still love it. And right now I'm not going to get a new one, so I'll just have to use this one and be happy about it. Time for bed. Zebby and I are watching a little TV. Another day, and here we have all the strips. I've lined them up on the table. This is for the top of the dress, and I want to see if I like the placement. So I'm doing this little trial thing with the strips and make my final decision where these are going to go. After sewing the strips together with 1/4 of an inch seam, I decided I had to make a commitment to cut the bottom of the dress off and then use the top 13 inches or so to be my base to put my vertical strips on. So that's what I did, and then wanted to make sure that I covered up that discrepancy right there where I had altered it to make it fit my chest. Now the other dress that I made, this one I took everything and sewed on it from top to bottom. But this one, I decided not to do that. I decided just to sew base on the top and then do my tiers on the bottom, which I already made the strips and I already cut the lace. You saw that before. So now I'm just going to finish up with taking that bottom half off, which is approximately, it's my lower waist. I tried it on and decided that it was a lower waist measurement. And then I just cut it off. I took that big piece of fabric, that's what I consider it now. It's not just strips. I consider it a piece of material, and just laid it down on the front and pinned here and there from the top of the sleeve where the seam is on the sleeve down to the bottom of that waist. And it was easier when I turned it over because then I could line things up better. Now that it's all pinned down, it's much easier to cut around it. I cut right up to the edge because I wasn't sure how I was going to finish the sleeves. I had to see what it looked like before I could make my decision if I was going to make them raw edged or encased with a binding similar to a quilt. Really like how this looks, and it's going to be the same on the other side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Of course it will be different colors, but it's the same principle. Pin, flip, cut, and then we'll decide how we're going to finish off the shoulders and the back. Go. Just like I did for the two front pieces, I've got my strips. They're about 2 inches wide, give or take. You can make them all different sizes. They don't all have to be the same. This time I did. I'm placing my strips where I think they would be the best coordination, and I've got all different weights again. And when I'm done, I'm going to be going over to the sewing machine. I'm going to be careful with the shoulder seam there. I'm going to do something special to that. I'll show you that in just a minute. But in the meantime, I'm going to place these strips and then go to the sewing machine. so I'm right here and I'm going to the shoulder, and this is what I did. I folded it in on itself in order to make this shoulder nice and smooth. I may put something over that, I'm not sure yet. All I did was I got my fabrics and I brought them together, and then I turned this one under, trying to line up the seam here from the original shoulder seam. I'm just gonna keep folding it over until it lines up. And I will probably, if it gets too bulky, I'll cut it off, but I'm always a little leery to cut things off before I get it done because it makes it too thin, and where it's cut in an angle, it makes it not work for what I'm doing. If this doesn't totally match up, I don't mind, because this is not a matchy-matchy thing, but it looks like it might. Take a couple of pins and then go over to the sewing machine and just sew right across from here to here. And then my shoulder seam will be where I want it to be. And then I'll deal with that when the time comes. For now, this is the back. And I have a little discrepancy here, but that's okay, because that wasn't a discrepancy. That was me finding something and saying, oh, that'll look cute there. But I have other ideas for that. You can do anything, right? Take a patch, just plop the patch right down. I have something. Okay. There we go. I have this, which I'm gonna use as a patch. I have this that I'm gonna use as a patch. I'll bring it down so that it covers up everything. And then it'll bring me to my waistband. This is my waistband. I'll show you what I did. I turned it over. First I did not a stay stitch, because I didn't change the stitch length, but I stitched it down first just to hold it. And then I turned it over so that I could see where my edge of my original collar was, and facing, front facing, I think that's what that's called. And I just sewed, first I did like close to the edge, very close to the edge, so that way I could get all of this sewn down all the way around, all the way around to here. So with all these colors, I hope that makes sense. Let's lay it down like this. So this is, I just sewed right in here. Now what I'm gonna do is, right, so I'm gonna take this, again, I'm gonna turn it over. And because I sewed so close to this, I can cut almost to the edge right here. It's like a scant 1/8 of an inch there. Now I know this fabric will lay down nicely. Let me see if this one's gonna, because I might have to clip that. I think if I cut it, it'll be fine. Okay. I did this too. See that? It's okay, I can fix that. This is a lot like the journaling that I do. I think I've said that before. Maybe I have to edit it out of here. Because it's so forgiving. You can just cover things up with lace. And then the attention is drawn to the lace. And no one ever knew that, oh yeah, that was a little mistake there. It ends up turning into a happy mistake because now you can cover it with lace, and you don't have to figure out where your lace is going to go. It's going to go right there. Even if I cut into the edge of this neck a little bit, it's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. You see where my theme is? Don't worry about it. There. And it's much easier when you flip it over, because then you can go right up to it. Depending on what your neckline looks like, you might not have to do any of this. You might just have a round neckline and you can just clip, sew it on, just clip around it, and you'll be done with it. I have this doily that I've had for a while, and I thought, what am I, actually, I think I bought it because I did a daisy journal a long time ago. And somewhere it called for this. I've got an idea. I'm gonna cut this apart and see if this works. I was gonna try to incorporate it with that trim on the side there, but it didn't work. And as I'm laying it down, I'm going a different direction with it. So after cutting all of that, I couldn't decide which trim did I want to use. Putting them side by side, I made my choice. When I sat down to the sewing machine, I started thinking maybe I would use this piece that I cut out and I thought I would use first for the collar. This is what I'm thinking. The kind of waistline that I used to have, I have a very different, let's say, waistline. My daughter-in-law said I can't talk about her mother-in-law in a bad way. So I'm not going to say anything about my waistline because I'm her mother-in-law. I evened the bottom as best as I could. That's what you're going to have to do, is just make this even. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to sew my top to my bottom. So this is the first tier, and this is the bottom tier. So I have a chicken here, so I want the chicken to be upright.
Sides together using my clips. I'm going to put the 2 tiers together and then sew them with a quarter, maybe a little bit over seam.
And if you're still with me, thank you for watching. It's so exciting because you have put me on the YouTube algorithm bus, and now I'm getting my videos out there, and it gets so exciting to me that it makes me want to make another video.
Using a very hot iron with steam, I press the seams after I sew them together. I'm adding the lace here. I'm doing about 1 1/4 inch from the top of the lace to the hem, the bottom of the dress, because I want it to give that little poof at the top to make it ruffly.
There we go. I've got my beautiful ruffle on. I just love this ruffle. I always loved ruffles anyways. Now I'm going to take this opportunity to make sure that the bottom is the same length. Okay, my ruffle is the same length. And the top, which is going to attach to the waist, I'm going to make sure that this is all from the ruffle to here is the same length. So I don't want to keep cutting on that favorite fabric of mine. I think this is longer. I can tell by looking at it. Oh, I'm wrong. It's just right on the money.
I've used 2 rows of stitching to make my gathers so that I could make my waistline have some gathers all around it. And now I'm just going to clip it right to the front.
This is my front, and I want it to be somewhere in the middle of this. There.
So I'm going to put the top inside of the skirt, right sides together, and I'm matching that strip that I added with that rose fabric and centering that, and then making that top fit the skirt, going around, adjusting the gathers as I go around so that they're all coming out evenly, so they won't be poofy.
While the iron is warming up, I'm going to show you what my project is for next week. These are my husband's work pants, and I put some patches on before, See? And he's a maintenance mechanic, so he gets some greasy. So what I'm going to do is, he wants me to put patches on this. I did this, and I did this. So he wants me to put these on. So that's what my video is going to be next week. Patchwork jeans. Patchwork work jeans for my husband. I'll show you how I got this on with the sewing machine.
After pressing it, I decided that I would use an 1/8 to 1/4 inch-ish top stitch to hold the skirt to the top, and it would also hold the gathering that I did underneath. It was so smooth when I pressed it, and I wanted to keep it that way. It's funny, sometimes I want things to be smooth and finished, and other times I want them to be frayed. Like the arms. I didn't mind the arms. The arms ended up being frayed. I didn't complete them with anything, and I like the look. I think it fit the dress. You just never know. So this is it. I'm done. It took a whole week to finish it, but you know, who's timing it? Now my husband says that I should take it in a little bit more on the sides here because it would make it look more slimming, but I think I'm just gonna leave it the way it is because it's comfy this way, and I was going for the comfy, so that's what I'm doing. So now I'm gonna go out to dinner with my husband, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And don't forget, I'm gonna be doing those patchwork pants next week, so.
There's Cinderella, or Sammy, not sure.